Today I'm making a meal from a country I know nothing about. We're starting with El Salvador, where they have a dish called pupusas. And the reason we're starting here is because I like to say pupusa. But before we get into that, we're gonna start with Salvadoran carrot rice. From my experience, the hardest part about this was trying not to grate your fingertips when shredding mini carrots. And based on what I read, the seasoning in this is minimal because the vegetables flavor it naturally. I don't know for sure that I did this right, but I think I nailed it. If I did it wrong, I would love for you to tell me. Once you add in the rinsed rice, you're gonna top it off with chicken broth and just let it simmer. I took some creative liberties here and I'm using the birria that I have left over. Pupusas are essentially a stuffed corn tortilla. In preparation for this, I watched a video of an abuela making them with her grandson. And since I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to assume that she does. In her technique, it looks like she folded it up like an empanada and then flattened it out. But since I couldn't get an idea of the size of her hands, I'm guessing on the thickness. I wanted to be sure they were thin enough to cook through, but thick enough to have some bite. Once these are all assembled, you're going to cook them up in a pan. I don't have a comal, but I do have a cast iron pan. The first one I cooked was my test pupusa. I quickly learned that oil made them fry up, and that's not really what we want here based on what I've seen in the pictures. So I wiped my pan out in hopes of getting some nice black and brown spots. After the first flip, I knew I was onto something. So I just kept flipping them over and over again. I really hope I did these justice because the abuela who taught me to make them on YouTube deserves it. I would trust her with my life. So the last thing I would ever want to do is let her down. I had Taco Bell on my wedding night. While we were ordering our Crunchwrap Supremes, the woman working asked if it was prom night. Talk about embarrassing. But that was 13 years ago and we're still going strong. To celebrate 13 years of marriage and me not dying alone, I wanted to recreate this for you. I quit drinking a few years ago, which means I've also pretty much quit going to Taco Bell. For some reason, it just doesn't sound as good as it once did. If you were born after the year 2000, you probably don't remember their mascot. Taco Bell used to have a tiny chihuahua named Gidget, who would say, "Yo quiero Taco Bell." Well, unfortunately, a lot of people and advocacy groups viewed the dog's accent to be inappropriate, which eventually led to its cancellation. A lot of celebrities have been cancelled over the years, but I think the Chihuahua was first. I still miss that little appropriating dog. Did you know the founder of Taco Bell's last name is Bell? What a fun fact. I have so much respect for people who work at Taco Bell because folding these up is a nightmare. If I was working the kitchen and I got an order to make 20 of these things, I would quit on the spot. Maybe there's a faster way, but if there is, I'm not smart enough to figure it out. The Crunchwrap Supreme has been there for me at my highs and my lows. It was there for me on my wedding night, and it was there when I was battling hangovers. This ended up feeling a bit like a love letter, but I'm okay with that. Because of all the fast food spots, you're so my type. Today my daughters asked me for Burger King, so I said not today, partner.
Giddy up.
But I will make you a rodeo burger. If you've never had a double cheeseburger with bacon and onion rings and barbecue sauce, then you've never had a 3,000 calorie cheeseburger. I don't know how many calories are actually in this thing because calories don't really exist. As far as I'm concerned, they're just another conspiracy. To make a good burger, the key is to touch them as little as possible and keep the meat as cold as you can. That keeps more of the fat in the meat instead of on your hands. I think onion rings are the most underrated side in the fast food world. Unfortunately, my wife has a sensitivity to onions. Sucks to be her because I'm making them anyway. After dropping these in the mixture of seasoned flour and beer batter, we're gonna fry them for a couple minutes on each side. After that, we're moving to the griddle and we need to move quickly, otherwise the onion rings over there will get soggy. Quick science lesson. Foods are always trying to reach equilibrium with their moisture content. So dry, crunchy things like crackers absorb moisture and soften. Meanwhile, things like bread lose moisture and get crusty. So that's why a food going stale can mean different things to its texture. I don't know why they call this a rodeo or a western burger, but if this is the type of thing cowboys are eating, consider me the newest member of the Wild Wild West. Today my kids wanted Raising Cane's, so I ignored them and made them birria tacos. For years I've argued that Italian food is superior to Mexican, but I think I'm starting to change my mind. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Mexican food has had the biggest glow up. Instead of just tacos and enchiladas, people seem to genuinely care about traditional dishes. But as a white guy from New Jersey, what do I know? Traditionally, this dish is made with goat. When the Spanish conquistadors got to Mexico, they brought a bunch of goats with them. They were like, yo, check out these goats. We don't eat them, but they're pretty sick. At one point, they gifted a large herd to the indigenous population. And what a move that was. Taking over an entire country and being like, sorry about that, here's some goats. So the locals stuck it to them and impressed the hell out of them with birria, which actually means useless, which is hilarious. So that's your history lesson for today. Once the meat is seared, we're gonna put it back in this pot and slow cook it for like 4 or 5 hours. So if you suddenly find yourself with 6 hours of nothing to do, this is the perfect meal for you. I never claimed this was easy. I've also never made this before, but I'm convinced I can cook anything. I think it's really easy for anyone who makes cooking videos videos to tell you that what they made is delicious. But I hope that at this point in our friendship, you know that you can trust me to be honest with you. So when I say this is the best meat that I've ever made, I really do mean it. And because I'm always looking for compliments, I served up a tray of it to our housekeepers and they told me I need to open a birria stand. And let me tell you, after hearing that, my head's never been bigger. I thought the different color tortillas was cool, but after dipping them in the consomme, you can't even tell. I hate when extra effort goes unnoticed. I really wish that every one of you could try these tacos. Maybe you can when I open my birria stand.